Cities, states, and national governments must manage complex, overlapping priorities. While energy efficiency is not the first solution that many think of to advance priorities like economic development, poverty alleviation, or local pollution reduction, in fact, it can be a powerful tool to advance these objectives and more. For jurisdictions that face populations that lack access to energy, a primary concern is achieving energy access affordably, quickly, and with minimal environmental impact. Energy efficiency in buildings can be a key factor in controlling the costs of the increased power generation, transmission, and distribution infrastructure to bring energy services to those who lack them. It can also provide newly electrified residents energy services at affordable cost and enable off-grid renewable energy-powered services as well. Similarly, energy-efficient new construction in expanding areas can help control the costs of extending power to new or more densely populated areas. Energy efficiency can advance economic development. Energy efficiency jobs are local jobs. Moreover, increased productivity in manufacturing, in retail stores, and other commercial areas can increase competitiveness and reduce fuel bills. There's also a macroeconomic impact through reduced fuel imports due to reduced demand. Energy efficiency can be a measure to alleviate poverty, enabling access to fundamental energy services, while freeing up pocketbooks for other essentials like food and education. We often think of the cost of energy as the cost of a kilowatt hour or a therm of energy supplied. But in fact, the more appropriate marker is how much does it cost to deliver energy services? In other words, how much does it cost to cool or heat my home? How much does it cost to keep the lights on? How much does it cost to keep food and medicine cool? Energy efficiency can reduce the costs of delivering these energy services without sacrificing the quality of the service and often improving it. For many government authorities, local sources of pollution such as traffic, cook stoves, and heating appliances are a source of concern. Energy efficiency can reduce pollution from these sources and, in the case of switching to cleaner yet more expensive sources of energy, can limit the cost impact. For instance, switching from a solid fuel-burning stove to a gas or electric one can imply a higher cost to achieve the same amount of heat because they use a more expensive fuel. Energy-efficient appliances can limit this cost increase by reducing the amount of fuel needed to generate heating or cooling. Likewise, a more energy-efficient thermal envelope will reduce the underlying demand for heating or cooling. Energy efficiency in buildings can also help reduce regional sources of pollution, such as those coming from electricity generation and energy-intensive industries. Energy-efficient technologies can also reduce vulnerability to climate impacts, such as extreme heat or cold or heavy rains. For example, better fitted windows can improve the thermal envelope of a building and keep moisture out. And more energy-efficient building materials can help keep a building cool or warm even before space heating or cooling are even turned on. Energy efficiency can be both an expense and a source of income or savings for public budgets. Consider the relationship between income and expenses typically incurred by governments. Consider the example of the Mexican television replacement program that we mentioned earlier on in this lesson. The television replacement program was implemented by the Ministry of Communications and Transportation to replace existing, less efficient analog televisions with digital televisions. The alternative to replacing the analog televisions was to install a new digital set-top box, known as a decoder, to continue to work with the new digital signal. This graph compares the anticipated household and government expenditures for an analog television with decoder versus a digital television. As you can see, the energy cost for the government in the form of subsidies and for households in terms of electricity bills of analog TVs with decoders is more than twice the cost of the energy bills associated with digital televisions. It's important to point out that the replacements largely covered low-income households, alleviating the pressure of household energy bills and freeing up household resources for other priorities. Based on this analysis, the Mexican government chose to give away LED TVs to 14 million low-income households, spending 1.76 billion Mexican pesos, which would be recovered through avoided electricity consumption, worth 1.6 billion Mexican pesos, and federal government savings in energy subsidies of 3.73 billion Mexican pesos.